Yo, what is going on, guys? Frankie Trades here, bringing you another weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. With that much more being said, let's go ahead and dive into the watch list. So, as far as earnings this week goes, really the only big companies that I could see that could have some potential move in the market, that could be worth trying to look at and see if it has any kind of post-earnings move that we can catch, would be Spotify. That reports early morning on Tuesday. Robinhood could be one going into Wednesday. That might be a good one to look at. Shopify usually has some good post-earnings moves, so we'll see how that's going to go. And then potentially Coinbase. So those are the only companies that I see that I personally look at post-earnings that could have some sort of good potential post-earnings move, but we'll have to wait and see. So I don't typically look at these stocks anymore, so we'll just have to wait and see what these stocks could provide for us. So first up on the watch list, ES and NQ. You guys know I like to cover the indexes first. There really is not too much to cover, though. If we do decide to look at the indexes, not decide, but we are. But there really is not too much to look at. We got the big rebound on Friday, as you guys could see, from 67.50 on the low all the way up to 69.65. Crazy move on ES on Friday on the daily chart. So, like I said, there really is not much to really look at here on ES. Really, we're kind of back in this. We bounced back in the range that I was talking about. So realistically, going forward into this week, really anything above 7,000 for any potential upside, or if we get any closes back below maybe 6,900 or maybe even 68.60ish. Was what I would be keeping an eye out for, but it's in a rough area right now. There's really no good spots to really say ES has a support and resistance at these specific points, and if there are, they're all really far away. So ES is a little tricky. I'm just kind of looking at areas for the meantime, not really looking at specific levels, but those are around the rough areas where I would look at for ES. NQ, the exact same story. We broke the consolidation at 25,000 and we climbed all the way back up. Now, the unfortunate part is it's in the same exact boat as ES. It's breaking the consolidation to the upside. It's breaking the consolidation to the downside. It's a really choppy mess right now. So for the meantime, anything above 26,000 or anything if we claim back below 24,800 is what I'm going to be keeping an eye out for on NQ and seeing if we can see any continuation to the downside. So but yeah, that's about it for NQ and ES. I didn't really have any big trend lines to really keep an eye out for on these. So they're, like I said, it's in a tough spot. I'm not going to sit here and really chart really super in depth what all the microscopic levels are. That's for Monday morning. My job for the weekend is just to see and get an outlook of what the market could potentially look like and then chart from there. So that's it for ES and NQ though. Let's go ahead and go into the watch list. First thing I have is AMD. And then we got MU. So with AMD here, we have two potential sides that we can play AMD on, which is pretty nice. AMD to the downside, we got that a gap that starts at 190.72. That ends at around 170.68. That's roughly a $20 gap that I have a setup for the downside if we decide to come back down. To the upside, this stock did just have earnings recently. You could see that we have a gap from 218.58 all the way to 237, roughly a $20 gap as well. So with AMD, we have two potential sides to play this on. It's stuck in the middle of both sides of where I want to play each direction. So for the meantime, AMD, I would look to play that high at around 218.58 or maybe even 218 for a potential early entry, or I could just play it safe and wait for 220 for a recovery play on AMD. And then if we decide to come back down in the market, I have a play ready at 197.2 where the gap starts on that. So, and then last but not least is MU. Now, if I put MU here on the 4 hour or the 1 hour, you guys will see what I'm talking about. Probably the 1 hour is probably a little bit more clear. Yeah, you could see that we are in a consolidation on MU. Now, this could always be prone to break pre-market or overnight. Who knows? But I do like MU if we happen to get back up around 400 to 401. I do like those two, maybe even 402 actually, because you can see if I put this on the 30-minute and then go to 402, you can see it's more of a clear flat top at that area than 401. I say 401 because we haven't had to close there on this smaller time frame, so that's why I said 401. But anywhere from 400 to 402 would be a good potential spot to play MU if this has any kind of strong momentum ahead of the market, so the strong divergence that we typically look for in our plays. That is something that I'll be keeping an eye out for on MU. Now it's kind of the same boat on AMD, where if you put this on a bigger time frame, you can see that it is stuck in a consolidation, and I'm currently just It's closer to the top side than something like AMD where it's stuck in the middle. MU is closer to the top side of the consolidation. So with MU, I also have a downside play at 365. 365 would be trading that into 363, and then after 363, I'm looking at 360. A lot of 3s and 6s, Jesus. But those are the two areas where I would be looking at for MU for the top side and the bottom side. So. But that is about it for the watch list, though, guys. I hope you guys enjoy it. There was not too much to really cook with as far as the really big, clean setups. Those are the only two that I really had that looked really good to pass forward the information on to you guys. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the watch list. Before you go, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your Sunday. Have a safe Super Bowl Sunday, and just have a good week going forward. Peace out.